Okay, the time has come to to finish our sourdough bread. So you can see how much this has raised. It's filled this whole container. Remember, that was 13 cups of flour. And I've let it sit for a few days. I let it rise for a whole day, and then, like I said, you want to let it chill. I went ahead and just set it on my porch because it's cold outside, and it actually lets the flavor enhance. You can use it right away, but I suggest getting good at working on the sticky dough, cold sticky dough first before you attempt working with warm, wet sticky dough. Is a bit more challenging, and we can do that in another video. I'm just going to take some olive oil into my cast iron pan. You could do this in a normal bread loaf pan, anything you like. You could turn this into rolls, you could turn it into whatever you like. But I like cast iron. It's pretty much all we cook with here. It's either cast iron, glass, stainless steel, or stone. I don't use any Teflon or any of that poisonous stuff. So, got all that rubbed in there. And my cast iron's already pretty well seasoned, but this one only keeps it from sticking a little better. It also will make sure that the bottom browns as evenly as the top. Okay, so I've got some flour here, and I'm just gonna sprinkle it over a corner. I don't know why I always start in the corner. I guess you could start in the middle, but corner seems to make more sense. I'm going to utilize that oil on my hands to keep some of the flour on my hands. See, that's more than if, you know, you can't usually keep very much on, but that works. So I'm going to just scoop down, and you're going to get like the size of a small cantaloupe maybe, or a really big grapefruit, whatever you want to refer to it as. And I'm just going to turn these edges under. Just like that. It smells really good. It smells sour, you know, but not in a bad way. And then I'm just going to sit it down right in there like that. I'm going to move this to the side, and it'll actually re-raise itself. That'll pull back up. And I'll stick it back out on my porch. Oop, knock the camera over. I'm going to take this loaf right here. Remind you, this is a yeast bread that I did not have to knead. And I'm going to give it a gluten cloak, which helps it rise. I'm going to take a serrated knife. Some people use like a scalpel, but I've bought really professional ones from pastry shop, and this cheap, probably could find at the dollar store, serrated knife always cuts better for me. And I'm going to do one solid deep cut across the top, and usually I flip it around and I go at it again. And it's going to do two things. It's going to allow it to rise, and it's going to allow it to rise again while it's cooking. So, all I'm going to do now is grab the camera, my flour-covered hands, because the oil works so well, and take my cast iron pan and sit it, you guessed it, right by the wood stove. I'm going to let that rise for about 35 or 40 minutes, and then I'm going to stick it in the oven. I think I'm going to cook it slow this time to really bring the flavor out. I'm going to do it at 350 for roughly an hour, or until it's golden brown, and when you thump it, flick it on the top, it sounds hollow. And then you're done. Pull it out. And I know it's really hard enough to eat it right away, but let it cool for at least 10 or 15 minutes. It'll be easier to slice, and You might trick yourself if you cut it open too soon thinking that you undercooked it because it's so moist. And that moisture needs to escape, and it actually continues to cook as it cools. So at least 10 or 15 minutes, folks, before you eat it, and I will show you when it's done. Alright. And here is the end results. A beautiful loaf of sourdough bread. And this is an artisan loaf, so it just spread out. You could do this on a pizza stone as well. And it smells really good. And it's hard to follow my own advice of having to wait, 10 to 15 minutes before we slice it. You can see it raised really nice. That was pretty small when I put it in there. Definitely could have put a bigger clump of dough in there. And it's soft. And if you want a chewier crust, when it's warm, when you're done, just cover it, wrap it with a towel, and it'll make it soft. See, we have a nice golden bottom on there, and that's from the olive oil. And I always like my bottoms of my bread to be a little darker than my top. It just gives, it's hot. It's really hot. I just took it out of the oven. So, anyhow, well, I hope you enjoyed that, and I'm sure we'll have more adventures with my sourdough starter. Thanks for watching, and forgive the lack of voice as I'm losing it. So hopefully I don't lose it completely, because I'm having fun making these videos for you to watch. Alright, we'll see you later.